And welcome to Community Kitchen. As Harriet was just saying, we look like we might get a little bit of rain, all you keen gardeners out there, after we spent last week talking about how to get your veggie garden planted. Be looking forward to a little bit of rain. Going to go differently today. We're going to be talking to Kate from Ocean View Estates, of course the lovely winery sitting up on top of the mountains overlooking Caboolture. They've always got different wines there and always got some exciting news, so we'll be talking to her a little later. And we're going to follow up with asparagus, something that you either love it or you hate it. It was, I don't know, it used to be something that used to just come in a can. Now there seems to be every type of asparagus fresh available in the fruit shops, and we're going to be talking to Vicky Lang, and she represents the Asparagus Council of Australia, so that will be fantastic. But what we'll do, I think we might just go to our song and we'll come back with our first guest, Kate from Ocean View Estates. And welcome back to Community Kitchen. We have our first guest online, Kate from Ocean View Winery, up in the mountains. How are you this morning, Kate?
Really well, Annette. Nice to talk to you again.
A little bit cold up there?
It is a bit chilly. We're in the clouds at the moment, so it's a bit nice though after all the dry weather.
It's gorgeous, isn't it? Now, Kate, we've talked to you before, and there's always something happening up there at Ocean View, but of course you've got the different grapes that you're growing each year and different challenges, I imagine, in your winery.
Yes, although we've had a fantastic vintage. 2012 was great. We got the grapes off before the rain started in February, so 2012 vintage is doing really well. We've just got some medals for 3 of our wines, so we're really happy about that.
It seems you're always producing different grapes too.
Well, we have the 4 varieties planted, and from that we make about 8 different styles of wines. So, yes, there's always something interesting, and we can follow people's taste and the ways people want to drink, because we can do different things in the winery once we've picked. So, yeah, it's always interesting. Every year's different. I
think it's it's an amazing thing. We went for a drive just recently to Stanthorpe, and so many times now people sort of think, the only great wineries are down south. But you look at some of the establishments around, and even with our local area and up in Kilcoy, there's been some fantastic things coming out.
Oh, absolutely. Queensland's winning on the Australian scene now, so we've definitely made our mark on Australian wine, I think.
Talking to different people I have on my show, I always have a little bit of a Google, and you've got to come and learn more about wine and gain a TAFE certificate of wine evaluation. How does that work?
Well, we've got Peter Orr from the South East Queensland Institute of TAFE coming down doing a 2-day course. Originally I just thought it'd be great for my staff to learn a bit more too, but we're throwing it out there for anybody else who wants to come along. It's really a fun sort of way to learn, but you end up with a certificate at the end. So great if you're just interested in it, or if you want to get into the field, if you want to work with wine. But we're going to have a lot of fun with it as well. So.
I think it's a fantastic idea, because that little bit of knowledge, if people are interested, and then you've got the actual certificate at the end of the day, which does make people important if they put that effort in.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. No, I think it's going to be great. We've had quite a bit of interest in it, so it'll be a good one to attend, yeah.
And how do people actually get involved with that, Kate?
Well, they can just give us a ring. At the moment we're just taking bookings, and then the enrolment forms and everything will come soon, all the official bits and pieces. But we're taking bookings now, so we've got a maximum of 20 that we can do. So we've got a few spaces left if anyone's interested.
That's excellent. Now, swing into spring.
Yeah.
Sounds fun.
Well, we like to have a bit of fun up here, so we've got a great band that we've had here before, Swing Central. They do a lot of performances around Brisbane and just out on the slope again, so it's an outdoor concert, and it's just a beautiful time of the year in the vineyard. I think it's the nicest time when the grapes are all new growth and looking gorgeous, and the weather's fantastic, so great chance to just come and unwind on the slope again.
I think
full of our new vintages.
Oh, well, that's exactly right. It's a great opportunity also to a lot of people love to get immersed in that gardening and have a look at where people, where the grapes are coming from, or where the olives are coming from, and there's so many different farms that people can go and visit. But with the swing into spring, just details on that day, if people can actually just arrive there and food-wise, what can we expect?
Well, it's a ticketed event, so
yes.
If you haven't got tickets, you'll be able to purchase them at the gate. But yeah, they can come for lunch, a 2-course meal, and the concert for $80 a head, or they could just come for the concert with an antipasto platter for $35 a head for adults, $25 for kids, or for under 18.
So you're going for that nice drive and decide you want to swing in there. It's probably a good idea to get tickets prior to.
It definitely is. It makes it a bit less congestion at the gate. But it's I've ordered a beautiful day, so it's going to be great.
You've ordered one, have you?
Yeah, that's right.
And that's fantastic. I notice you do now. I love these websites, when you're having a guest on, and you can really get into what's happening by visiting the websites. And I love the fact that you're offering different recipes each month.
Yeah.
And I think that gives people that opportunity, when you go to a different restaurant in the city or something like that, and you think, I really like that, I'd love to try that.
Yeah.
And it's great to be able to share these things.
Yeah, well, we're a bit passionate about food as well as wine and coffee, of course. But so, why not share the passion out there, I think, yeah.
I think it's one of those things, isn't it? A lot of people, you don't realise how many people still go for that Sunday drive.
Absolutely. We get a lot of people just calling in, a lot of people getting together for, special occasions as well, but lots of people just wanting to relax and go somewhere different, so.
I think that's great. I think the last time we talked, your family had just come back from overseas, so it's some time ago, so I imagine you've got a lot of different things happening with your wines, and I think you're doing beers or something, aren't you?
Yeah, we are. We've got our own 2 boutique beers that we do, a pale ale and a mountain ale, we call them, so they're becoming as popular as what the wine is, so.
Are they along the same lines as our Australian beers, or more European style?
Probably more European style or the boutique style that are coming into Australia now. So preservative-free, a little bit sort of fuller-bodied. The pale ale has sort of fruity undertones, and the mountain ale is actually fermented with chocolate beans or cocoa beans in it.
Ooh.
So really interesting, heavier beer, but with a bit of chocolatey flavour in there.
Oh, it'd be great for cooking too.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I remember meeting someone many years ago, and they said the only way that they ever make their Christmas pudding is by using a really good stout.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, and it just gives that really rich, well, you can sort of imagine it, with, especially when you're saying your beer has sort of a chocolate taste in there, and it'd give a very interesting dimension to it, wouldn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's great. Well, Kate, so just for people who are wanting to get tickets, the best way is what, to go online, do you think, with you?
We haven't got online sales for the Swing into Spring. If they just give us a call and we can do it over the phone, it's 3425 3900.
Excellent, and thank you for joining us this morning, and best of luck with your spring event. And Swing into Spring sounds like a nice day of music, food and wine.
I think it will be.
Excellent. Thank you, Kate. Bye now.
Bye.
And isn't it lovely to know that right on our little areas around here you have something that is so beautiful, and if you haven't had the opportunity to go up and visit the Ocean View Estates, the setting is fantastic. It really is I'd say a journey of love that these guys have set up there, because as Kate says, they're passionate about their wine, they're passionate about their food, they're passionate about their coffee. So get in there and have a little look, and if you are into wine appreciation, fantastic way to learn, getting the TAFE certificate of wine evaluation, and of course you're going to get some good knowledge there that they'll impart with you. I think we might just go to our sponsors, and we'll be back very shortly. And you're back with Community Kitchen. Strawberries everywhere. You're seeing them. People are selling them on the side of the road. I'm sure the farms are in abundance. All those little trailers are everywhere. And I thought today we'd share a really good strawberry jam. Very easy. 1.5 kilograms of strawberries. For the people who don't use the kilos, you've got £3. 125 ml or a half a cup of lemon juice, and 1.25 kilos of sugar. And they do say warmed, so that's about £2 8 ounces. Put your 2 small plates in the freezer for starting, because you're testing. And let me just say, I don't profess to be the world's best jam maker, but really this recipe is one that apparently works. It's fantastic, so give it a go. Wipe the strawberries clean and hull them. And I think one thing that people make a point of Don't wash the strawberries once they've been hulled, because they'll absorb water and it will affect the taste, because you want a heavy concentrate of strawberries. Place the strawberries in a large pan with lemon juice, the warm sugar, and about half a cup of water, and warm gently without boiling, and stirring carefully with a wooden spoon. Try not break down your berries too much. Increase the heat, and without boiling, continue to stir until the mixture for about 10 minutes, or until all the sugar has dissolved, and increase the heat and boil for about 20 minutes. It's very important to dissolve your sugar. When I was talking to the lady from out at the show, and she was saying it's a very important thing to make sure that your sugar has dissolved before you start to increase your heat. Stirring often. Skim any scum off the surface with just a little skimmer or a slotted spoon, and start testing for setting point after about 20 minutes, but it could take up to 40. A lot of people said, it's a good time to get yourself organised, whether you've got a book or a magazine on the bench, so that you're continually stirring, at least you can keep yourself occupied. And then make sure it's not catching. So I think it's important that you allot that time to dedicate yourself to getting this jam heated and stirred along. Remove it from the heat and put a little bit of jam onto one of the cold plates and place in the freezer for about 30 seconds. When the setting point is reached, a skin will form on the surface, it's cooling down, and the jam will wrinkle when pushed with your finger. That's important because at least once you start to bottle, your jam's going to be setting, so it's going to be a good spreadable or dollop type of consistency. And spoon immediately into clean warm jars and seal. Turn your jars upside down for about 2 minutes, and then up the right way and leave them to cool, and that will actually create a seal. One of the best things I find for washing your jars is put them in a dishwasher on a really hot cycle. And if you don't have that facility, one thing I've been doing, because I've only just had a dishwasher installed, which is great, but one thing I have been doing is just get my oven, wash my jars in hot water, hot soapy water, rinse them well, and then put them upside down in a warm oven and leave them like that, and that will sterilise them quite nicely, because you're just drying them off and at the same time getting them hot. But important that you have your jars all nice and clean. And I think that's a very simple recipe, but different people talking to, they say the most important thing, of course, is that sugar, and also making sure that you're not increasing the heat too much until you're increasing until your sugar has dissolved. Interesting, we were talking about lemons, and someone was saying that they had problems with one of the jams not setting, and I remember the lady telling me from the Show Society at Caboolture that you can't use a Meyer lemon, and I hope I'm right in saying that, because she was saying that there's a couple of different lemons that don't allow your jam to set, and of course you can use a pectin, but the lemon juice can have quite an effect. Incredible, isn't it, when you think that most of us pick up a Meyer lemon thinking that they're the ones, but I don't know whether they're the bee's knees. So if there's any of you ladies out there who know this is for sure, give us a buzz here on 54951015 if we're wrong, because we don't want to steer people in the wrong direction. But that was my information handed to me. So important that you get yourself very organised when you're doing any type of preserving or bottling, because it can get messy. Rest assured, you can have stuff all over the kitchen, and of course you're dealing with sugar, so you've got yourself some really sticky elements to deal with. So give it a go, guys. It's strawberry season, and there's so many fantastic deals, and of course you can just eat them fresh, but how nice to have half a dozen jars of strawberry jam on your shelf when strawberries aren't in season. I think it's great. We're going to go to a song, and we're going to come back and talk to Vicky Lang about asparagus. And welcome back to Community Kitchen. We have our next guest, Vicky Lang, who is the Marketing Communications Consultant for the Australian Asparagus Council. Good morning, Vicky. How are you?
Good morning. I'm really well, thank you.
I just had a little surprise walk into my studio, a postal box with fresh asparagus in it.
Yum. You've got, I think, 3 different sizes too, haven't you?
Yes, I know. I just said to Harriet, We never get little surprises here. What a great idea.
Yes, it is, so that you can truly experience a new season's bounty in your own office.
Isn't that wonderful? You know, the funny thing is, just thinking about asparagus way back when I was a child, you know, asparagus was in a can, and that was it.
That's
And-
yeah, absolutely.
And until you've actually experienced that taste of fresh asparagus,
Yes.
you know, you haven't lived, I don't think, have you?
Absolutely. Now, even when I was back at school and we were having, as part of our French, learning French, we had a cocktail party and we had to speak in French. So I was handing out, someone had made these asparagus rolls with the canned asparagus, and I asked my French teacher, what do I call these? I asked in French, and he said, les abominables. So I was going around saying, you know, voulez-vous les abominables? And I thought that's what the asparagus rolls were called, but he was obviously saying they're abominable.
Exactly.
I thought, no, I still remember it to this day. But definitely barbecued asparagus doesn't always have to be boiled. It has a beautiful flavour of its own, and you could make a real groovy asparagus roll that would put the others to shame.
Well, it's interesting because, you know, asparagus is one thing that, you know, you see it now in fruit shops and it's just so beautiful. And as you say, I sometimes just put them on a grill plate and they're beautiful to have with dinner. But it was one of those things that you didn't see them out and about that much. But it's so lovely to see all these different spears. And one thing I have noticed is you get purple asparagus.
Absolutely. Now, that's usually available between mid-October to mid-November. It's a different type of asparagus, and it's actually a little in the stem, and it's actually purple on the outside, but when you cut it, there's the purple skin, and then this little green ring, and then a creamy inside.
Oh, okay.
But it's sweeter and crunchier, so it's ideal for use in salads. When you cook it, people think, oh, we'll have beautiful purple spears on the plate, and they steam it or boil it and it goes a bronze colour, and they go, oh, what a disappointment.
Oh,
It changes
okay.
colour. So we've got the website asparagus.com.au, which has got the outline of the different colours and then some tips for cooking with purple asparagus. But it suits itself quite well if you did a fresh, crispy, sort of a lovely salad with even a Japanese-style sauce, or with included it in sushi or rice paper rolls, so you've got that sweet crunchiness, and with those lovely spritzy dipping sauces, it would come up a treat.
Once upon a time you'd read in the books, and of course there would just be the steamed asparagus with a fancy sauce that you just, you know, tip the ends in. But nowadays, I mean, you've even got a suggestion here where you can have a salad roll with a difference. What a great idea.
Yeah, a niçoise salad roll, because asparagus marries so well with eggs, so, and also, you know, because there's prosciutto on the barbecue stack, and you know, or cheese, it goes very well with cheese. We've got those little baby Cos cups with the beautiful, tasty blue cheese, and then the asparagus spears, and then some roasted walnuts. And you could put some drizzled reduced balsamic vinegar over those two and just eat them as a little starter or a snack. So there's different ways to serve asparagus, but definitely you can eat more spears and enjoy them as a vegetable component of your meaty feast barbecue. It's so easy to cook when you've got a crowd of people around.
And look, in reality, you know, a lot of people think, oh, asparagus is so expensive. And I think that can be something that they were such an elite thing to have. It wasn't a vegetable that was on the, you know, 3 meat and veg plate. But I think nowadays it's changing, isn't it? Even though, I mean, you're in Victoria, so one of the biggest growing areas is in Victoria, is that right?
Yes, there's more than 93% is grown in the Kooyarap-Dalmore area of Victoria, which is about 65 kilometres southeast of Melbourne, on the way to Phillip Island, that area. And it's just a unique horticultural area with about 40 growers in this small area that grow this amazing, it might even be a little more than 93% these days, but really the, you know, peat soils and usually the humidity, it's not that far from the sea, the humidity and the temperature has not served asparagus well the last couple of seasons. So it's been freezing cold or roaring hot during the summer season. They had heat waves, so it causes the asparagus to grow very fast and burn out a little.
Sorry, but with asparagus, you actually, if you're going to have it in your home garden, you can virtually leave a bed, can't you? And just dedicate that like you do with rhubarb and things like that.
Yes, and once you've planted the crown, asparagus grows from a crown under the soil, and then it's a little, in a way, similar to rhubarb in that way, and then I think it's the third season that you virtually, well, when it's firm, then you can cut it and get some decent spears. But we've even got the process of growing asparagus on the asparagus website as well, so you can look that up and people can see there's a basic sheet that explains how it grows, and if they wanted to use that for their homegrown asparagus, they could.
Which is interesting, isn't it? Give it a bit of a go. It's always nice to... I mean, of course, you're probably going to be disappointed when they don't come out absolutely perfectly like the growers, because it's one thing that they're expert in doing, I guess, but at the same time, it's always fun to have a little bit of difference in the garden bed, isn't it?
I think it is, and I think people will be surprised when people, locals down in the Kooyarrup area, think, I didn't know they grew asparagus, because it's not like bunches of celery rearing up from the ground. It's like little chopsticks, little spears here and there quite sporadically. So it actually grows with the right temperature and the right humidity. It can grow 2 centimetres an hour.
An hour?
Yes, because it's like the shoot of a plant, so with the right humidity and the temperature, it just like goes, and so the growers have the pressures of making sure the pickers are around if it is suddenly like the right temperature and humidity. They've got to make sure they have plenty of cutters, because you can't think, I'll do it tomorrow or the next day it's grown too big, so you actually have to get out and cut it straight away, and it's actually quite often cut in the late of the evening or early hours of the morning before the sun comes up, so that it's actually kept nice and fresh before the earth, because it's picked and laid on the side of the earth and then collected. So they've got to do that while it's nice and cool, and so it doesn't grow too much as well. So that's another pressure for those hard-working growers.
Oh, I know. So with this little present I call, I think it's quite cute to receive something like this. Very nice, thank you. You've got medium bunches, mini bunches, and the grande bunch. Are they all from the same plant?
Yes, but you've got different now. When the asparagus is picked, you've got thicker and thinner spears, but then when they're taken back to the packing shed, they're put through a sorting machine, so they get sorted according to thickness of the stem, and so you don't get a bunch of asparagus with a big thick piece and a little skinny piece, because then it would be hard to cook it all at the right same temperature and get the same desired result. Sure. So it's all sorted, so you've just got thicker and thinner spears, and often people think the thinner spears are the young, tender ones, but often it's the big, luscious, voluptuous looking spears that are really tender. So it's very interesting that you see the minis, which are often marketed as baby asparagus. So it's a trimmed small spear, and you can eat the whole thing. And the other bunches, the grande, is like a thicker, generous spear that's perfect for the barbecue, and you still got to snap or cut the end off. And the mediums or regular bunches are about 180 grams a bunch. You do, again, just have to snap the ends off, and you've got this lovely big spear to either steam or chop or cook or stir fry. So there's many. We wanted to send you the 3 different sizes, so you can see that there's different. The minis are certainly becoming quite popular.
They look beautiful.
Single households can just buy a bunch, and I'd probably gobble a whole one up myself because I love vegetables.
Well, I think also that someone was saying one day, I don't eat asparagus, and I said, just imagine the freshest pea in your whole life that you've ever tasted, and that's what it's like. And I think once sort of you get your head around it, because and whilst it's sometimes a great idea to have the old can on the well, I usually have a bottle in my pantry, because that way then if you need to make a quiche or something like that, you've always got that up your sleeve, and they do come up so beautiful for presentation. It's an interesting thing to do, but if you've only had the can, I think it's a wise idea to treat yourself to a bit of fresh.
I think so, and I think there's also a handy hint why you noticed that when we sent you your little asparagus pack, we wrapped the asparagus in organic tea towels. It sounds funny, but an organic tea towel printed with vegetable ink. And that's a beautiful tea towel. You can use any clean tea towel that you just rinse under water, make it damp, wrap your freshly purchased asparagus in that, and then pop it in a plastic bag, and it'll keep lovely and fresh in the crisper. If you don't use it for that week, you think, oh no, but it'll actually, it acts, should be stored like fresh flowers, so it likes humidity, moisture, it's got the temperature, it's not going to be moist and then in a plastic bag so it sweats and decomposes. It's actually kept nice and fresh because it's moist, but it's not wet. And I've found that's why we sent you the tea towel, because we thought you could use it to help store your asparagus.
I think, look, we must eat it quickly because I don't have to do that at home, and it seems to store fine by putting it in my crisper. But
Yes.
I think that's a great idea. So how long does the season last?
It goes from now, and usually people expect the 1st of September to have good supplies of asparagus, but with the cold snaps down in Victoria, it could be the 2nd week of September, or it could be the last week of August. But we usually say September right through to December, so say Christmas, and then summer cutting starts again in January and keeps going right to the end of March. So there's a summer season and a spring season. Not all growers cut in summer, but there's, quite a few do, so that you can still keep asparagus going right through for your summer barbecue season. So it's virtually 6 months of the year if you include the summer months.
That's fantastic. I had a feeling that we grew asparagus somewhere up near Bundaberg.
Look, I think there probably is a little asparagus grown up in Queensland. I think there was quite a bit growing inland some years ago, but I think the industry had a problem with rust. I think there was something that affected the asparagus. Unfortunately, that probably affected some of the production up here I think it was over probably 8 or 9 years ago, perhaps, which is sad. But there is a little grown in Western Australia as well as Victoria. So, but as long as we can grab it, it's Aussie asparagus. That's why we have the catchphrase 3 cheers for Aussie spears, because instead of imported, I think Aussies like to know when their local season is there.
Oh, I think, and really it's something that we talk about on the show here all the time, is that really go out there and source your local, because otherwise you see disastrous things where orchards disappear and we're importing oranges that have probably sat in cold storage for 6 months or something, and yet you're still paying the high prices, and you think, well, hang on a minute, when you start to hear different stories that we've got people who are producing beautiful truffles now in Australia. It's quite exciting. We have such a fantastic food bowl.
Absolutely, and by law, we have to display where the source or the country of origin of our products. So if people are shopping and they think, we don't know where that's from, they can go up to their store owner and say, look, can you tell me where this is from? It needs to actually be labelled.
Yep.
And so I think that's really important so that you can make a decision, because for me, I don't buy non-Australian mangoes or cherries or asparagus. I wait and think, I can hardly wait, and then by the time they come, it's like, then I support the local industry. Look, what people choose to do is totally their decision. But
yes.
My whole premise is I like to support Aussie farmers so we keep having local crops.
And I think also it's a little bit like, I remember as a child we used to get these boxes of apricots sent by train, and that'd buy apricots and plums, and the first time that wooden box would be open and you'd get this fantastic taste. It's worth waiting for the season's time, I think.
Oh, I think it is, and I think that although quite often the retailers might want shelf space and have that product available all year round, because they feel that's what consumers are looking for. But virtually consumers can choose, the public can choose what they want, and I think that will have an effect as well.
So Spears for Health, not only does it taste good, but it's good for you.
Oh, yes. We've got, and the website as well, we've got the Spearheading Health Report, Spearheading Health with Asparagus, and vitamin B, of course, there's particularly folate and thiamine and riboflavin and so on, but vitamin C as well. Often people think oranges and citrus, which is good to have all those things, but asparagus is just so good for us, and it's also got potassium, so it helps our heart health by balancing sodium. So it's got so many other goodies in it, but I think mostly we like to eat things because they taste fantastic and they're easy to cook. But knowing that they're good for us too, we think, that's great, I do want to be healthy, but I don't want to sacrifice my enjoyment just for health's sake, but I do like to know that it is good for me as well.
One thing with asparagus now, if you've never used it before, in preparing it, a lot of people always say, there's that little bit of a woody, bony part at the end. So just take us through the best way to get your asparagus prepared.
Yeah, so first of all, wash it, give it a good rinse, and then that'll refresh it. But you can either use a knife, pop it on the chopping board, even a bunch of it, and sort of line it up, and then just move the knife along till there's less resistance, so that on the woody part, the knife's not going to go through, so you just move it along then it'll just be where it gives. You can cut there, or I just usually snap. So you hold your finger and thumb, you hold the woody end. So maybe your left hand if you're right-handed, and then you just move your hand along till it has resistance, and you snap there, it'll snap the woody end off. So people are still, a little nervous, like, how much do I snap off? But it is quite simple once you've done it a few times. And another thing is when you snap fresh asparagus, it should be juicy. It's like garlic. When you go to crush garlic or you're peeling it and you just crush it on the board and it just goes boing, that it's a bit old. Whereas if it goes scrunch and a bit of juice comes out, you're going, yes, it's fresh. So I think that if you, again, you just have a go at asparagus and see where it snaps. It should be probably about 2 to 3 centimetres, not like 4 or 5, that you snap off. Because if you hold the spear halfway up and go to snap it, it'll snap too much off.
Yes.
So you really hold one end and just sort of move your hand along until, you can snap it close to the woody end as you can. And it might take the few times you do it, you sort of, being a bit pedantic, but that's when you get the hang of it, like riding a bike.
And of course you can use those little woody ends if you're making a veggie stock or something like that and throw them in the pot. It's not going to hurt you.
Definitely can. And remember years ago people used to peel asparagus, and that's true for white asparagus, has a thicker skin, so it's ideal to peel the last, sort of 40, 50% or even 60% of it, because it's a thicker skin than the green asparagus. But you don't have to peel green. But if you really wanted to use all the spear, you could peel the last, say, 4 centimetres of it, including the woody end.
Yes. And
you'd be able to probably eat a little bit more of the spear. That's if you wanted to use, if you're doing a risotto or something like that, you just want to chop the bottom bits off for the risotto and just keep the tips for the decoration. So that way, because, veggies, not particularly asparagus, most vegetables are a little more expensive these days, and I think people are a lot more aware of using most of the vegetable that they can. Get best value for money.
I think that's right, and that's why, when I talk about using a stock, and there's so many different things that you can use, because it's just the way you do it.
Yes, I think absolutely, and it's really what each individual is happy to do, and they'll soon, by cooking a little bit more with it, they become familiar and work out what feels right for them.
That's wonderful. So asparagus is your little baby.
Yes.
Well, I just hope that by having you on the show, we can introduce asparagus to some people, because I think that a lot of people are sort of, they're still thinking about whether they'll eat it grilled on the barbecue, and yet really it is just such a beautiful thing. And thanks for sharing that information with us this morning.
Oh, that's a pleasure, and thank you for having me on your show.
Great. Thank you, Vicky.
Okay.
And we've been talking to Vicky Lang, who's the Marketing Communications Consultant for the Australian Asparagus Council. And as I said earlier, what a great little thing. We just got a box of fresh asparagus delivered here to have, a couple of bunches here to enjoy exactly what they are. So I'm sure there'll be a few of us around the station having nice fresh asparagus for dinner this evening. I think we'll go to a song. Back very shortly. And welcome back to Community Kitchen. Always great suggestions when you finish an interview, and Harriet and I, of course, are going to be trying something different with asparagus. It happens, doesn't it? It just enlivens you when you have a little bit of a discussion about food. Well, it does for me. So we've had a nice morning this morning, talking with Kate, of course, from the Ocean View Estates Vineyard and Winery. It's interesting, isn't it, that people feel so passionate about something that they would go and invest such a huge amount of money, number one, huge amount of time, change their whole lifestyle, and it's these sort of incredibly passionate people that bring these wonderful things. And to think, 10 years ago that we would have had a lovely winery sitting up on the hills there. And it's a sad thing that Harriet and I were just talking in the break. A lot of times there's some fantastic businesses around our area. There's some fantastic farms and things. And we need to support our local. And what Vicky was saying from the Asparagus Council, when you're buying your seasonal and you're trying to shop as local as you can, at least you're supporting your farmers. And every day we're hearing on the news all these different issues about what's happening with our economy. But one thing we can do, I feel, is you support your local businesses, you support your local farmers, and at least you feel that you're contributing and you're putting money back into an industry that's just going to keep producing for you, because at the end of the day, if we don't support our dairy farmers, and we end up having reconstituted milk, and one day we're going to whinge because, whatever happened to fresh milk? In a way, it's our fault. We need to actually take a little bit of control, and we need to step up to the plate, as the saying is, and make your choice. And who knows, it might cost you $2 more in your weekly shopping bill because you're buying local or Australian milk or Australian produce, but it is going to be much better for you in the long run because you're supporting our industries. And I think it's very important when you look around our communities and you look around the Moreton Bay, and to see how many people, as I said, have invested a lot of money and into a business that provides for you. And I think it's so nice that we can actually get out there and support these people. It's great. Look at our strawberry growers. We have got so many strawberry farms around here, and we're supplying to people all over the nation. We should be proud of that, and we should in turn be the ones who are supporting our guys. So we're buying seasonal, of course you are, and I think the whole game is just fantastic when you look at it. It's very simple. Eat seasonal, and the whole chain of events unfold, which I think is just fantastic. So guys, it's strawberry season. Get in there and enjoy some strawberries. Good for your health at the same time. And of course asparagus. It's one of those things after reading the media release about asparagus and what happens, I think sometimes that it's nice to talk to these different growers or people who are promoting different growers, whether or not they're from our local area or another growing area within Australia. It's exciting and it's something new, and also it might bring another dimension to your dinner plate, which I think is always a wise thing to do. So good to have our people who are willing to come on and talk to us. And as I mentioned regularly, if you grow something, I don't care what it is, it might be something very interesting that we've never even thought about before, come and share it with us on 54951015. Give us a ring. They will put you in touch with me. Who knows? You might grow duck eggs or something like that. We're really interested because this is our community kitchen, and we like to keep food on the air each week, and something interesting. So give us a ring, guys, and we can share that with all of our people. Thanks for listening this morning, and thank you, Harriet, for panelling. And I'll be back next week. I'm sure I'm going to have some interesting food thing for you to listen to.